no doubt that he rose again. And I was really pleased to hear that reading where he ate fish. And, ghosts don't eat, do they? And this will probably come out here as well, okay? The Pharisees were so afraid that the Christians would come and take Jesus' body to say he had risen, that they asked for the tomb to be made secure in case the disciples stole the body and tell people that Jesus had been raised from the dead. Interestingly, when Mary was in the garden, she thought that the Romans had taken the body. So there were these rumours, these thoughts going around. But they sealed the tomb anyway and posted a guard. On the Sunday there was a violent earthquake, Matthew tells us, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was of lightning and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid they shook and became like dead men. Afterwards, some of the guards went into the city and reported the events to the chief priest. The chief priests then met with the elders and devised a plan. There's a lot going on behind the scenes here. They gave the soldiers a large sum of money and said, "You are to say his disciples came in the night and stole him away while we were asleep." They were worried because if the report got back to the governor, they'd be in trouble. But they knew if this report got to the governor, it would satisfy him. So the soldiers spread the story. And Matthew also tells us that some Jews believe this story even to this day. Obviously not this day, the day that when Matthew wrote the Gospel. So I'm just going to go through a few instances of what Jesus did after he rose. First, he appeared to Mary. Then to two of his followers on the road to Emmaus. And he also ate with them at their house, because they recognised him when he broke the bread. So not a ghost then, okay? Like that reading said today. Then he appeared to his disciples when they were together in a room. Thomas wasn't with them at this point. However, a week later, when Thomas was with them, Jesus met with them again. Thomas didn't believe that Jesus had risen. He was often called Thomas the Doubter. It was really important that all the disciples were on the same page. Jesus needed them to believe that he had risen. He wanted them to know the truth. Jesus encouraged Thomas to put his finger in the wounds on his hands and to put his hand in his side. And then he believed. Again, you wouldn't be able to do this with a ghost. Then on the beach, he prepared a fire and was making breakfast for the disciples. They had been fishing all night, but not caught anything. They didn't know it was Jesus from so far away, but he called out to them to throw their nets over the other side of the boat. I'm sure you're all familiar with this story. They caught so many fish that their nets broke. As they came near to the beach, they recognised Jesus. Jesus cooked some of the fish they had caught and they all had breakfast. After breakfast, he spoke privately to Simon Peter and told him to look after his followers. In other words, his sheep, I think, is how the Bible puts it. Jesus made very sure that his disciples knew the truth about his resurrection, even Thomas. So despite all these rumours going around on both sides, let's be fair, Jesus scotched the lot and made sure that the disciples knew about this, saw him, ate with him, and even some of them saw him when he went back into heaven at the ascension. So the Bible leaves no doubt. If you have any doubt that Jesus rose again, read the ends of the Gospels, because you'll be left in no doubt at all. Thank you. you. Sorry, Graham.